Did you know that in South Africa alone, there's almost 45 billion rand in unclaimed policies and money in pension funds? And it's just mind-blowing to me. And often we know this from experience. If you work in anywhere with a client with their estates, that oftentimes they pass away without a will or even a valid will in place. And this means that it can eventually take years to wind up an estate. And not only that, now it costs so much more to wind up that estate. And, I think the other problem that I see a lot is that financial advisors and estate planners and practitioners and so forth, they struggle to have a true holistic. I think getting the holistic view is one thing, but keeping up to date with the total holistic view of what a client has, their data, their information is just a task that is just almost undoable. And when the time comes to act, when somebody unfortunately passes away, it's a massive challenge. I've seen this over and over again. Well, there seems to be a solution to all of this, and that's what we want to share with you today. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to another show. So this is episode 9 of season 3, 169th episode. Wow, that's amazing. I get so torn between saying, is this episode 9 of season 3 or is this episode 169? Because it's just, it still blows my mind that we got this far. I really appreciate you all being here live this morning. I'm really excited to talk to Jeff this morning from Lifedocs and to look at the solution that they have come up with and put together. But we're not only going to talk about that, we're going to talk about all the problems and the challenges that we face when a client of ours passes away, and we need to sort of get all the documents together and make sure that everything is efficient. And I even want to talk about the red file. You know, the red file. I want to talk about that as well with him. But anyway, so exciting morning. So this morning I have Seema from the FBI with us to talk to us about the latest news and current affairs in financial planning. And then Norma is today talking about creating an amazing life. Now, wouldn't we all want that? So really looking forward to that. Then I want to share a tool that has been indispensable for me in the technology segment. I'm going to share that with you. Do some quick announcements, and then Jeff and I are going to get into today's conversation. Before I get going, let me quickly say, soos ons altyd doen, ouder gewoonte, Ben Kleinans, good morning. Yes, it's really an interesting subject today, and I think in the last 2 years, unfortunately, the experience around this has really, sort of been magnified or put under the magnifying glass, rather, because we've unfortunately all lost a lot of clients due to COVID and other situations. So definitely a apt subject to talk about on the show. Albert, good morning. Nice to see you. Looking forward to the chat. Absolutely. Garinel, good morning. Yes, it's quite cold here in Krugersdorp as well. So good morning. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Mark Westenford, all the way there from Natal. Somebody's flying the Natal flag this morning. Good morning. Good morning. Barry van Niekerk, goeiemôre. Lekker ook daar in Pretoria. And look at this. Albert says he's on his way to Clarence for a cold and wet Maluti double 90 cycle race. Genade, I'm already tired. Well done, Albert. You must enjoy, keep safe, drive safe, and just enjoy the experience. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this morning's show and head on over to Seema to hear what the latest news is for us.
Good morning, Francois, and thank you for having us again. It's great to join you this morning. In the news today, the FSCA has released a publication of the Financial Sector Outlook Study. The FSCA has published the sector study, which views the South African financial landscape and describes the financial industries regulated by the authority. The study details developments within the different industries and the associated risks and trends observed. In addition to analyzing individual industries, the report looks at the macro developments and drivers of change, including the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the financial sector. The key highlights in the report includes that South Africa has made significant progress in expanding access to financial products and services. However, active and regular usage remains low. In terms of the digital options, there's been a huge rise with more customers using banking apps, online banking platforms to perform transactions. The increased adoption of digital platforms has heightened risks related to digital banking fraud. While digitization can support financial inclusion, financial institutions should be conscious of taking customers along the digital journey to ensure that certain groups like the aged or those who without access to smartphones are not left out of the financial system. Then on average, the insurance industry has seen positive growth in gross written premiums between 2015 and 2020. Issues of disclosure of changes made to customer policies, the efficient payments of claims remain the concern of the regulators. This partly relates to the rise in business interruption claims processed in 2020 as a result of COVID-19 national lockdowns. The FSCA has rigorous engagements with the industry, and many concerns have been resolved. And together with the July unrest experienced in 2021, however, there are ongoing discussions regarding considerations on uninsurable risks. With assets in excess of 4.6 trillion rands, South Africa's retirement industry has one of the largest assets to GDP ratios in the world. However, coverage remains an issue given that approximately only 7 to 10 million individuals have retirement saving products out of a labor force of 15 million. Whilst the most must be done, progress has been made towards the repossession of unclaimed benefits in the sector, with the FSCA's Unclaimed Benefits search engine helping over 14,000 individuals receive payments worth approximately 1.2 billion rands. The study also gives an overview of the key cross-cutting areas of focus, such as crypto assets, activities, and sustainable finance. And more information on this can be found in the Financial Sector Outlook Study on the FSCA website. And in other news, the Reserve Bank says that there is still some time away before South Africa is ready for a digital currency. SARS says its exploration of using distributed ledger technology like blockchain has left it with more questions than answers before it can definitely say if South Africa is ready to have a central bank digital currency or a blockchain-enabled stock exchange. The bank published the results of the second phase of the Project Corner. This project, whose first phase was launched in 2018, has explored the potential use of distribution ledger technology, but in a controlled environment. The first phase looked at using technology for interbank payment settlements in South Africa, and the second stage went further at looking the usage of tokens to trade different financial assets as well as wholesale business bank digital currency. In the process, the technical team created two tokens. One was used by SAB debentures, and the other was by stablecoin issued by a private commercial bank, also to buy SAB's debentures. It also built the trading platform, central security depositories, and security settlement system, the complete infrastructure that a stock exchange needed, but on a blockchain platform. But all that happened in the limited proof of concept environment, and the Reserve Bank Governor Lestanya Kanyako said the bank has learned a lot from the second phase, but it is not in a position to make use of this technology as yet. As what he says, they still need to play with the technologies more to get a deeper insight into how these could affect its mandates of proving financial stability. The Reserve Bank continues to draw on the insights emerging from various initiatives, including but not limited to ongoing study to the feasibility, desirability, and appropriateness of retail bank currency. He said that Saab is not so concerned about missing out or being too slow than its peer central banks. Many banks have already started using digital currency on the retail side. For instance, Nigeria already has a central bank issued digital currency called the e-Naira. And for your fun fact for today, dead skin cells are the main ingredient in household dust. So, according to the researchers at the Imperial College London, humans shed around 200 million skin cells each hour, and they have to go somewhere when we are indoors. And that is the reason I don't dust, because I could be dusting somebody away. And that's the news for today, Francois. Back to you.
And next up, we have Norma. Norma is going to talk about how do we create an amazing life. And I took one little step to do that because, I don't know, like before the show, we were all talking about, just how crazy things are and how busy it is. And it's just like chaos everywhere. And so, I'm trying to do little things, which I'll maybe share with you later in the show. But there's little things that I'm trying to do in order to just break up this chaos and break up all of this, I don't know, things that seems to be becoming the new normal, if I may. I don't like that word, but listen, let's see. Anyway, let's see, how do we create an amazing life with Norma?
Good morning and welcome back. So my topic for today is how to create an amazing life. And this is really a bigger topic than I thought of. So we're definitely going to be continuing this conversation in the coming weeks. So what inspired this topic really for me was really my conversations that I have with people like on a weekly basis. So sometimes I walk away from a conversation and I think to myself, like, what does this person do to create this amazing life? So what is sort of their secret sauce? And then I also sometimes put the phone down, or I walk away from another conversation and I think to myself, like, how can this person not see their greatness and really see all the things that is working in their lives? So I've just put together a couple of points that I want to discuss with you today that I think really contributes to us creating that amazing life. So I think the first thing that comes up for me is really gratitude and like appreciation. So I think that really just creates this foundation that we can start building from there and becoming that person that we want to be. The second thing is to contribute to the world and the people around us. So really we were given talents and skills and gifts really to enrich our own lives, but also to contribute and to serve other people with those gifts. So we're not going to write a book and then put that book underneath our pillow for no one to see that. So the same with our gifts and our talents. We need to make sure that other people know about those gifts and we need to share them. So we're not an island. We need to connect, and we also need to grow and learn through this whole process. Another thing that I think is quite important is to celebrate our wins. And that is something that I've become aware of in my own life at times that I don't celebrate. So I don't even get to the finish line and I'm already busy making plans for the next thing. And I really think that takes away from acknowledging and validating ourselves. Because if we don't take time to acknowledge and validate, we are going to want to receive that validation from other people. And then we're never going to have enough. We're never going to be satisfied. Also, not celebrating leads to not allowing others to celebrate their wins and allowing them the sufficient time to celebrate what they, their achievements and what they have, their wins. I also think that contributing to this amazing life is really that we have to know that we have to do hard things. So when we put ourselves out there, we're out of our comfort zone, we stretch ourselves. Really, it's like we're stepping out of the cave, and our brain always wants us to stay safe and make sure that, we survive and, we're not going to kill ourselves. So we are really motivated by seeking pleasure, avoiding pain, and making sure that we conserve our energy. And then when we work towards goals, we know we have to put in the time, the effort, the attention. And if we want to create that value, those are the things that we have to do. So we know that anything of value needs attention and time and work. So who appreciates the goal more? The person that was handed the goal, or the person that really worked for that goal? We also, to create that amazing life, know that we have to embrace the discomforts. So a lot of times we set these big goals for ourselves and we just think it's going to be rainbows and daisies. And we think that it's going to be smooth sailing. But because we are stepping out of our cave, we're stepping out of our comfort zone, there is going to be those emotions that come up that is going to be hard to feel. So those are things like self-doubt, or maybe feeling discouraged, or maybe feeling a little bit maybe embarrassment. So those are the things that we need to know, that if we can start feeling those emotions without like resisting them, we can see that they actually won't kill us. And that the more we're willing to feel it, the more we're willing to take on bigger risks. And something that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks is just that to love ourselves. I always tell my clients that, want to lose weight, is that we can't beat ourselves thin. So we need to love ourselves, and we need to make sure that our programming is right to love ourselves. So once we can feel that love, we actually experience it. And then once we experience it ourselves, we're in a position to give it to someone else. So that's what I have time for today, but we're definitely going to continue this conversation. So please make sure that you are here again next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Norma. So then we're up to the technology segment, and this is one of those segments that we rotate all the time. And today I want to share with you a tool that is really helping me take control of my passwords, and to also stop using the same password for everything like we all do. And then, I think one of those little things that really get to you is when you've been using this password, and then the software says to you, it's time to change the password. You can't use it any longer. Then, oh my goodness, what I'm going to use now? And that's when we start getting confused with what are the next things that we are going to use. So let's see what this tool is. Yeah. Alrighty, so there we go. This is the tool that I have been using now for quite some time, and it's called Lastpass. Now there's others as well. 1Password, I think, is a very popular one as well. But the whole thing is to get a password manager. Now Google Chrome, for example, has got one built into the system as well. So in your browser, it can keep these passwords. It'll even tell you if this password has been compromised and all sorts of things. And people who love Google will probably be using that. I would like to keep this somewhere else, and also so that I'm able not only to use it in Google, but also to use it in any other app on my phone. Anything that I need to access, where I need to put in my password, it can actually integrate with my password manager so that I'm able to use all of that. So this is it. If you want to go check it out, I'll give you the link if I can find it here on the screen. Where did I put it? There we go. Okay, there you go. So you can go propulsion.co.za/Lastpass, and it'll take you to the site. Anyway, so what you've got here is a password management tool. And what that means, it is something that integrates into your system. It's something where you have a master password, and this is a password that you can't use for anything else. It has to be unique. But unless you have that password, you can't really access everything else that you've stored inside of the password manager. So obviously, important that at least if you remember that password, the rest of them you don't need to worry about. Now, there is two sort of flavors to this tool. There's a personal and a business part of it. I'm using the personal one. In fact, I have the family plan, so that everybody else in my family can also use this. But it's very simple. It is a tool that integrates also into my browser. So there is sort of extensions for Chrome, for Edge, for Firefox, for all of those things. So it does integrate into your browser on your laptop or your desktop, which means is that whenever you go to a site, and I will show you a little bit, maybe just quickly how that works. But what you would do is you would have to go log in, and then once you logged in, it'll stay logged in unless your IP address changes or the location where you are changes. And that's the other thing. If you suddenly, like when I travel to Cape Town, I go there, I open my laptop, I want to enter my stuff. It first wants my master password, because I'm now suddenly in a different location. So maybe my laptop was stolen, maybe, so it's really safe from that point of view. But I think one of the most amazing things is that because I have the paid version for this, it integrates on my iPhone, it integrates on my iPad. It works obviously on any other phone as well. It's not only on Apple, but and any other tablet as well. But whatever I do on my laptop, it goes into that, and I can use it on any other device. And whenever I open an app and I need to put in a password into that app, it'll bring it up and I can click it. It does the, in my case, the Face ID. So at least I know I haven't aged and gotten that ugly very quickly, because the phone still recognizes me. But then it would open up. So it does check. There's all the security things, but it makes it so much easier, so much quicker. And you can now actually create these more complicated passwords that's not so easy to crack. And I think that's the thing. And you can also have a password for, like a different password for every single thing that you use. You don't even have to worry about it. The other amazing thing about this is that you don't have to go and think up these passwords. It actually has a password generator, and you go and set exactly how it should be doing this. So what letters, numbers, special characters, how long it should be, etc., etc. So it's really an amazing tool that makes life so much easier, and it does really do a great job. I've used this now for the last 2.5 years. I used to be on the free plan. There you can see sort of a little bit of what it looks like, and it'll save all of those things. You can categorize them and all of it. You can even save, if you want to, your card details, bank account details. You can save passwords and notes and documents. It's like a vault. It's a digital vault for all of these things. So you can really use this for many, many different things. But I'm telling you, it has taken the pressure off me to not use the same password for everything, and not to worry to remember a password for everything, which is even more important. Just very quickly, you can see it's very well rated. So yeah, I don't know. I've never had an issue, never been compromised, never anything. And just maybe quickly to show you, for single users and for families, you're talking about $4 a month. So I paid annually in advance. You get a little bit of a discount, but it's not that much. The time it saves you, the effort, the stress, and all of it that it saves you, absolutely worth it. And you can also do the free plan. As I said, you have unlimited passwords. You can still share, but you can only use it on one device. So that was a big reason why I first went to premium. And then for $1 more, I added the entire family, which is absolutely a bargain. So definitely something to go and check out if you want to relieve yourself of all the headaches when it comes to password management. All right, so time for some quick announcements. I don't have a lot today. I think one of the biggest things that I do want to share with you, and by the way, because it's getting colder, we can have some coffee. I miss those days. Do you remember virtual coffee with Francois? Like, I always started with my cup of coffee. Unfortunately, I lost that Marvel cup that I had. I don't know what happened to it. Somebody broke it and didn't say anything, or it just mysteriously disappeared into the metaverse somewhere. But be that as it may, I think the first thing I want to share with you is TaxSpace is coming. It's imminent. So TaxSpace is the new online application where we took the tax tool that was an Excel tool for the last 5 years. I've got loads of people using it that have paid for it to use it, and I've updated that every single year. So we've built that into a proper online application, and I'm so excited about that, to launch that. So that launch is imminent, and really looking forward to sharing that with you as well. So please keep an eye out for that. Then the second thing is the Gsbc Tickets, so Global Financial Planning Conference. Remember, those tickets are available. You can just simply go to propulsion.co.za /GFPC 22 to go and book your tickets. And it's really going to be an exciting one. So from next week, we are going to start to announce our sponsors. We now have 5 sponsors. I'm so incredibly grateful for that. There's place for 3 more. So that's it. And then we close the sponsorships. But 5 people have seen the value of this conference. 5 big businesses. They are proper big businesses that are getting involved. But yeah, so really excited for that. So please go and book your ticket if you haven't yet. It's 2 days of conference, the 17th and 18th of May. And then that day of CPD, it's going to be a full day of CPD live sessions, as well as then additional do-it-yourself in your own time CPD content you'll have access to. You also have access for 12 months to the conference content as well as the CPD content, all included for only 290 Rand. How crazy is that? Anyway, so let me just... And then I think that was that. Then just important, next week is Easter. So not having a show next week. Can you believe that? So no show next week on the, what was that going to be, the 15th? But we'll be back on the 22nd, and I'll announce my guest at the end of today's show. Really excited. We are booked fully with guests until the end of May at this point. So we're really grateful for that as well. Alrighty, so that's that for today, for the quick announcements. That was really quick today. And I'm now excited to get into the conversation with Jeff and to see what we can do in terms of this headache when it comes to getting all the documents needed when one of our clients passes away. So let's do it. Good morning, Jeff. Welcome to PROpulsion Live.
Morning, Francois. How are you doing?
I'm awesome, man. I'm awesome. I don't feel the cold today because I'm standing here and I'm all revved up, and so it's been a good morning.
Quickly,
yeah, I did. And I said to my wife, so like, it looks cold outside. And I go like, no, it's not cold. It's getting light very late, very suddenly. It just feels like overnight. Suddenly the sun only rises at 7. But anyway, good stuff. Jeff, thanks so much for joining me. I really look forward to getting into this conversation with you. It's something that I've seen since I've been in this business for many years, that when a client passes away, it is a nightmare in many cases. I won't say in all cases, because I've also had clients in the past. You ask them, there's a file, everything's there, it's up to date. But unfortunately, I think that's 1% of our client bases are that prudent when it comes to putting the documents together, keeping it in one place, making sure everybody knows where it is. And I also think these days, with all the digital assets and all sorts of other things that's now coming into play, social media accounts and things like, it's hard to keep those things in an actual file. But I just think that we're really sitting with a problem in our hands, and I think there are a lot of people trying to solve this. But really excited to sort of get into what it is that you've done. But before we do, I also want to delve a little bit more into the problem to highlight what those problems are. So that's sort of what we can look forward to. But let's just start off with the solution, just a brief overview and sort of an introduction to Lifedocs and what Lifedocs is. And my question to you is like, well, obviously I think I sort of set the scene just now, but where did the idea for this actually come from for you? Because like you as CA, and I'm quite interested. I know you're in financial management and all sorts of other stuff. How did Jeff come to see that there's a problem here?
Yeah, so thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it. So it wasn't, I can't claim the idea as my own. It was actually my co-founder, Blessing. He was the originator of the idea. And basically where it came from is he had a family pass away, and a family member pass away. And during this time, he thought that it was going to be a simple process of getting this person's estate wrapped up. It's 3 years later, it's still not wrapped up. And obviously, being a developer, he said, no, this is a problem that you need to solve. And the problem that everyone doesn't realize is that yes, you can be organized at home, you can be organized everywhere, but you don't know what you need. And it's basically a problem of you don't know what you don't know. And what we decided to do is Blessing then contacted me, and the timing was perfect because I recently just sold my business, and what he says, Jeff, listen, I've got this problem. I want to try to solve it. Can you come on board and let's get it done? So then I started deep diving into this problem, and yeah, geez, the data really shows as well. I was chatting to a lot of friends of mine and connections in the industry, and it's a nightmare wrapping up an estate. And it's not just the will. The will is a major problem, but it stems more from that. It's everything else. It's people that come out the woodwork when you die. Family members all of a sudden appear. There's documents that you think you don't need that you do need. There's a lot of information that is required when you do pass away, and unfortunately, planning for it takes a little bit of time, takes a bit of effort. So what we wanted to do is say, listen, let's help somebody. Let's make it a very, very easy process, very intuitive to get estate ready. And then we came up with the idea of Lifedocs and the estate readiness score. So to say, how estate ready am I? Is there an ability to put a number to it? And that's kind of our challenge, and that's what we're trying to solve.
And I like it because that brings in a bit of gamification, I would say, just in my world from a training perspective. That sounds like a bit of gamification, sort of I need to get there. And it's a simple thing when you have that goal, because you never really know, I can have all these docs and I can have we were looking for our passports now a day or two ago, and we horrifically realized that they were still in boxes, and we were frantically going through these boxes trying to find them. And we have all these files. So there's a file for me, a file for my wife, a file for each of my kids, and it's these thick files, but you don't know if everything's in there that you need. It's just crazy. So I think having something like a state readiness score is actually it's amazing. I really like that idea. So Lifedocs in essence is so am I getting this right, that it's really aiming for you to have call it a vault where I can store all of my things that can be available, but I also know, when things are missing from this. Is that sort of a fair assessment? Is that what it is in essence?
Yeah, so that's the core, right? It's a vault, but I really don't like saying the word vault because, well, the word vault is important, but because it implies security. But I don't want us to be associated with things like Google Drive and Microsoft's Dropbox and so forth, because the very key difference between the two is Google Drive is like an attic or a garage where you can just throw anything into, right? It's like that box that you have sitting in your cupboard that's got all your passports in and your birth certificates. It's there and you think it's there and you haven't updated it, but you chuck everything in there. It's a mess. What we do is we take a very structured approach to this. We say, this is what you need. And yes, it's stored in a vault, but we're going to guide you through the process of what you actually need. And that is what we feel is the problem. The information's there. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. It's sitting with your financial advisor. It's sitting at home with your wife. It's sitting, your will could be sitting with your parents, with your brother. It's all over the place. So what we want to do is we want to say, okay, take all that information, bring it into a central place, and then leave breadcrumbs for where that information might be physically, or where it might be. If you can load it digitally, then pop it into the vault as well. So that's kind of what we're trying to do is and connect it, create a digital connection between yourself as well as family members and your advisor as well, so you guys can collaborate. And that is kind of the real power of the platform, is the collaboration between people as well.
Yeah, I really like that. And who was this specifically designed for from that point? When you were building this, were you thinking about the person passing away, or was there also, there are people servicing these people who are also sitting with this headache, because who's the first person that they phone? It's either their financial planner or their lawyer, right?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting question. And when we first went down this road, it was very much an I thing. So what if I die? What if I pass away today? What's going to happen? So we built the original concept for the end user, and the reason for this is the concept around data and data security and the ownership of data is very important to us. And what we said is this thing needs to be very consumer centric. So it must be customer centric in terms of the data ownership and who is the arbitrator of that data. So we said, let's build it for anybody to use. So anybody can come on board to the platform, use it, regardless whether you have an advisor or not. You come on board, load yourself up, and you can start using it and pay for your own account. So it's got that approach. Then what we've decided is that a lot of people actually collaborate with their advisors and their estate planners doing the exact same thing. So why don't we bring the estate planners on board through an advisor portal and allow them to collaborate with multiple clients, upload multiple clients, and get them on board so they can offer their clients the service as well.
Yes, and I think that is absolutely the way to go, because it's not only the if I die, what happens. It is the person that needs to help my family that also sits with that problem, and then it's my family that sits with that problem. And I want to move on. Let's focus a little bit on these challenges and what really happens. And I've seen this like in practice way too many times and even I always use this sort of one example where. There's someone that I know very well, and her husband passed away, and he is part of, when he was in our game, he was a financial advisor. She worked with him for many, many years. They know and understand. And the one thing that I learned from that whole experience is that even though you know and understand, and even if you expect somebody to pass away, you don't expect, it's obviously worse when you don't expect somebody to pass away because there was no time to sort of try and mentally prepare yourself for that. But when it actually happens, you never know how that dependent or that spouse or that partner is going to react. You never know what the emotional state is going to be, what the impact is, how long it's going to last. Just how does it influence their thinking? And I think, from that point of view, it's just we don't want them to go and battle with us. So hence, as a financial planner or a fiduciary specialist or somebody, we take that burden away from them and we say, we will collate all of this stuff. And then you realize, like, oh my word, nobody knows what's where, what's happening, what's going. And I guess that the main thing here is that whether you're a financial planner or you're the estate administrator, the executor, a fiduciary company, doesn't matter. We all need the same information. And obviously, as I just said, like, these things are really not easily available. And I mean, has this been your experience, and what do you see in practice?
Yeah, so I think what happens is everyone puts death off at like the bottom of their list. I'm not going to die today. I'm not going to die today. So that kind of sets the scene for how much planning you put into if you do die. And then the next big problem is no one. So they say, okay, if I die today, I've left my will with my wife. That's it's a major chunk of what you need, but everything else that comes in, you're planning, all your financial information, all your digital, your digital life. What do you do with that? So us millennials have got enormous amounts of digital information and connected accounts and so forth. No one comes in and says, okay, take my Facebook account and delete it. No one does all these things. So in terms of the availability of information and collation of information, it's there. The problem comes in that people don't have peace of mind at any given time about if something had to happen. And for the financial planner to take that burden on, to say to their clients, don't worry, we'll sort it out, that kind of just shifts that peace of mind from or that terrible time that they're going through, and that anxiety from the client onto the financial advisor or the estate planner, and now they're sitting with the problem. And the problem is eventually going to come around back to the client in the form of questions, because you don't have all the answers. So then you go and you ask certain questions, and then as these questions start developing and the number of questions increase, then the anxiety gets increases again for the customer at the end of the day. So you basically it's like opening a can of worms. And at least if you know what's in the can, you can manage how those worms escape. So what you try and do is you want to say, give me the can, I know what's in it, let me deal with it, as opposed to, don't worry, I'll take the can, let's open it and see what happens. So that's kind of the analogy that I try to make for this. But yeah, it's a terrible time, and the problem is it just takes so long and it's so drawn out, and there's so many things going on. So yeah, it's the information's there. It's about how do you make it readily available, and how do you share it, and how do you make everyone know where it is and what it's for.
So yes, the information is there, but now like, I want to ask you this question, and maybe it's a fair, maybe it's an unfair question, but which documents or what information is notorious for not being available, or that we're always hunting for these particular things? Are there any specific things that you've noticed that's always been, it's just mostly a problem for in most cases?
Can I throw the Department of Home Affairs under the bus here?
Yeah.
So I suppose
Go for
any documents that you don't have, that you have to get from Department of Home Affairs, that's always a challenge. Firearms are a massive problem. So firearm licenses, competency letters, and rather than beginning of the show, you mentioned unclaimed pensions. That's a massive problem. And what happens is when somebody dies, no one actually knows what their financial position was. So, and you'll be surprised at how much information is kept away from the family, from the person that has passed away. So when they eventually do pass away suddenly, all of a sudden people don't actually know what they had. And finding that information, yes, you can do certain searches, but it's limited in its capacity because you have so many different channels in which to search. So that's kind of the three big ones, and then obviously the will is kind of the most important one, and the validity of the will is a major problem. So yes, the person signed a will, but is it valid? Is it executable? That's another problem that the fiduciary space challenges with as well. So it's a huge challenge for them to understand. Let's take this will. Okay, here it is, but is it physically signed? Is it signed by the right people? Is it all in place, and so forth? So that's a major challenge that they have as well.
Yeah, I know, and again, now if we listen to all of that, and it's absolutely, I mean, I must say that those are some of the things that usually causes an issue, and also like often somebody may have everything in place for their firearms, for example,
yeah.
And they've gone and said, oh, this must go to my son, but my son does not want to like touch that gun. They don't want it. Now you sit with another problem, and there's all sorts of other things that happens, and I think not something to do with missing documents and things like that, but definitely something that I think a lot of people don't do that they should be doing, that we should maybe advising our clients to do, is to speak to the beneficiaries before the time and say, listen, this is what's happening in my will. This is what I'm going to do. And I know there are some dynamics in certain families and things that makes that difficult, but that's fine. But in most cases, if clients can talk to their beneficiaries and explain to them and sort of see, do you even want this thing? Because then that also makes things so much easier. And I think, you're listening to all of this, I just want to reiterate the point around, now you throw all of this emotion and the stress and missing information and maybe financial pressure, missing documents and all of those things all into one pot. And now suddenly it becomes such an overwhelming thing. And that in itself will lead to the estate taking so much longer to wind up. Because maybe now the executor is looking for things, but the beneficiary or the spouse or somebody is not in the mood to deal with this. They can't deal with this at the moment, and it's just delaying and delaying and delaying. What I have seen in practice, though, because we all know this is a problem, and what people have been doing for many, many years is what I refer to as the red file, is to give and it was actually part of their value proposition and still is today, where they take a physical file and sometimes a red file, literally red. Sometimes it's a nice leather-bound file. Sometimes it is, a cheap P&A, some sort of file, doesn't matter. But this file is being offered to the client with all sorts of dividers and a checklist and all sorts of things that needs to be in that file and that needs to be updated. So my question now to you is, and this is probably you'll be biased towards one of them, but that's fine because I want to get into it. Is the one better than the other, the physical file versus a digital file? If we can just compare it on that level. I know it's not 100% the same thing, but is the one better than the other?
It kind of depends how digitally enabled you are. So as we go through the years, more and more people are becoming digitally enabled. So to answer the question, which one is better? I think at this stage, it's whatever you are comfortable with as an individual. So a lot of older people are more comfortable having a physical file sitting in their safe. But the problem with that, and the problem that I had in my specific family, is my father's not digitally enabled, but he's got a pretty good file system where all these things are kept. But if you go into that file system, it's so outdated. I mean, his will was last updated 10 years ago. Now, if that was my case, a will that's 10 years old is going to be completely outdated. So these things need to be updated constantly. And for me, and the availability of knowing if my parents' data is kept up to date is a disaster. So what I went and did is I went and actually did and got all my parents' documents uploaded onto Lifedocs, because it gives me peace of mind, not just them. So yeah, the digital file creates the availability of data across the family, which is great. So if for example, I live in Johannesburg and my parents stay out somewhere else in a different suburb or town, I know at least that I've got access to the information. I don't physically have to drive out there and say, hey, Dad, can I open your safe and take a look at your life file? Then the ability to update this file is quite important. Now, to go in and physically go through a file, it takes time. Whereas if it's digital and it's got a digital element to it that allows you to set an expiry date on a certain document, you can then go and update that on the fly anytime, anywhere in the world. That's kind of the greatest feature for keeping things up to date. And collaboration, which I touched on earlier, it allows myself and my brother and my father and my mother to easily collaborate and know that each of us are separately in our own right to state ready, but also that each other we can have comfort and peace of mind that the family is good to go, so to speak. And I think the next big thing is automation. So how can we digitally get this file or the digital version of this live file? How can we keep it updated? And there's an enormous amount of data sitting online that we can access through third-party APIs. And for us to go ahead in the future and sit and create automations that automatically keep the stuff up to date, you then have peace of mind that you don't need to physically go in every single time and update, for example, your insurance policy. We could automatically just connect that for you and keep it up to date. All you have to do is just go and make sure that it's right. And that's kind of where the power is going to lie in the platform going forward, is to say how much of this vault can we or your digital live file, how much of it can we keep up to date for you automatically? Yeah, it gives you more time to focus on things that you don't really want to associate with death, because talking about death is or dealing with it in a specific time, it takes enormous amounts of mental energy and no one wants to do it. So can we do it for you? Maybe yes, we can. So that's kind of the benefit of digital over a physical live file. That physical live file just wastes away until you have to go and update it constantly.
Yeah, and let's be honest, right? To keep that physical file up to date is great when you're retired, because you've got something to do and there's time to do it. But when you're not there yet and you're busy and you're doing a job or 2 jobs or 3 jobs, and coming home and then having to do some stuff around the house and all of it, you never get to it. That's why this information is not available. No one does it. Yeah. Because, I mean, who wants to go and deal with this? The other part of this, I mean, it's been years that life companies, for example, have not been issuing physical policy documents anymore. They email it to you and you have to print it out if you want it in a physical form. So everything we get is already digital. So why not store it in that way? Which I think is just makes so much more sense for me. So let's get back to Lifedocs and talk a little bit more about this. And what are some of the most outstanding features of Lifedocs? I mean, we've sort of talked about what it is in essence. We talked about the fact that it has a score to show you how estate ready you are. But what are the main outstanding features for in your opinion of this software that people need to take note of?
So you'll note that when you sign up, the way we've developed it is you don't just go into a vault where you must upload documents. We kind of understand what your life position is, and it's dynamic in that way. So as you go through the process of onboarding, you'll go through a wizard where we ask you certain questions, and the questions go from simple questions such as, are you married, all the way through to do you own a firearm, do you have any assets? And what that does is it pre-populates your vault to look at your current life position where you are. Then you will look at the vault and will say, okay, we've got certain documents outstanding. Let's go and upload those documents. And what it does is it guides you it says this is what you need. So it doesn't leave it up to you to figure out what you need. And that's kind of the power. It leaves you relaxed in terms of trying to find out what do I need for this? What do I need for this? We help you, and you say this is what you need. So, for example, if you have a firearm, you need your firearm competency and you need your firearm license, and that's kind of where we feel that the consumer gets huge value out of knowing that if I do this, then I'll be estate ready. Whereas you would have to pick up the phone and phone someone and say, listen, how do I prepare this live file? What I need to do? And it then updates. So let's say, for example, you go and get married, you can then add your wife onto Lifedocs as well. You can add your kids. You can go and add multiple vehicles. So each time you buy a vehicle, you can then go and add that in, and so forth and so forth. So that for us is that guide to assist people is really a good value add. The estate readiness score is something that's brand new for us, and it's going to be quite a big feature that people seem to really like, because it attaches that incentive to get this thing done. And then so by having that framework, we reducing the amount of time customers have to think, which is great, so they can think about other things as well. And then the sharing and collaboration, I would say, is probably the most the next most outstanding feature. So I can go and share certain documents with my family members, with my advisor, and they can collaborate in there as well. So if my advisor wants to do some work for me, he can then go in and upload certain documents. And that kind of, it's in the family situation, if I'm not so good at the paperwork, but my wife is on it, she can go into my vault and just go and upload all my documents for me as well. So yeah, we're trying to open it up to make sure that if you don't want to do it, somebody else in your family can do it, and they can do it easily in the same environment, and you're all looking at the same thing. So to create the collaboration as well. So yeah, I would say those are the most outstanding features at this stage. Our development roadmap is thick and long, and there's a lot coming. So I don't want to reveal too much, but we're pretty excited for the power of the platform going forward. But we have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just laughing because I see with tax space as well. That roadmap is quite long and thick, and we've got loads of things we want to do. But time and money obviously is always important, right? So, talking about collaboration, and somebody can do this on your behalf, and you can share things with one another, etc., etc. When it comes to this type of information and data, this is a person's entire life. And my question always for something like this, even with something like Lastpass that we just discussed, when we talk about security, right? So you said you don't want it to be seen as a Google Drive or a OneDrive or whatever. Security is extremely, extremely important. And, is this information safe? How safe is it? What have you done to make sure that, this doesn't fall into the wrong hands?
Yeah, so the short answer is it's bank grade security, if not better. We've got two-factor authentication in place. From a database storage point of view, our data is stored with GCP, which is a Google partner, and it's if I'm not mistaken, the current database is sitting in Zurich, Switzerland, and it's super secure. You're not going to have a situation where your data is going to be hacked if it's hacked directly through Google. The major security flaws in any platform like this is kind of your password protection. So that's where the two-factor authentication comes in. But yeah, the platform's super secure. It's built around security. Everything we've done from the beginning has been based on security. And when you partner with the guys such as Google and Amazon, they really do take this seriously as well. So very comfortable with the security where we are. I think in terms of the data sharing and so forth, so if there's any concerns there, we don't allow for sharing outside of platform. So what that means is if I share a document with you, you have to have a Lifedocs account. And what that does is it bolsters that security so that somebody else can come and they can view the document, download it, but it's from within platform. We also have a really cool feature where we share via an expiring link. So you can share a document with somebody outside of the platform. they will then follow a link. So if say, for example, I'm sharing my ID document for a RECA or a FICA process, I'm not going to share that. I'm not going to email that document. I'm going to share a link with you. You can go follow that link and you can download it directly from our platform, and that link will then expire. So that means our documents don't sit in an email exchange somewhere, because email is obviously the most vulnerable for hacking and so forth. So yeah, we're completely steering away from sharing documents via email or outside of platform.
Nice. And then a good question. So I want to bring this question onto the screen here. So Mark is asking, this is awesome, or he says that this is not asking if it's awesome, he's saying it's awesome. And he's asking, what do you recommend be done with those original docs that must be kept, like a vault copy of the birth certificates, etc. So what is the rules
really
there,
good.
and what do you recommend?
Really good question. So this is obviously a question that comes up a lot with the will. So you can't execute a will that's not original. So what we do is we say, have your original will, put it somewhere safe, use Lifedocs to upload the digital version, right? And then leave a breadcrumb. So what we do is we say, we've got an option or a field that allows you to say where the physical file is stored. And this is important because it gives you that breadcrumb, or it gives the person that needs to find it the breadcrumb to go and find it. So you can say it's with my father and he's safe, it's with my executor, and so forth and so forth. And that's the only way we can get around this at this stage. I'm a firm believer that in the next 5 years, all the documents will be allowed to be executed on a digital basis. So I know in the States, a lot of states in America are going this way as well, where you can have a digital will and it is executable. So it's only a matter of time before we go down the same road as well. It's exciting times. I think at some point in time, you won't need a physical copy of anything. And hopefully we're positioned to kind of ride that bus as we go through the years.
Yeah, awesome. And then tell me quickly. So there's another big thing, right? That if you obviously you let's just say that I'm an advisor. I say I want to use this to offer this to my clients. My clients can now upload all their documents and everything. And then tomorrow they want to leave and go to another financial advisor, because that sometimes happens. Like with there's a minor portion of the client base that happens with, but they want to move. Or my client passes away. The wife was not a client, but they used Lifedocs, and now she doesn't stay with me. She wants to work with her advisor. What are the options?
Yeah, so this is the reason why we built the platform around the customer, and to have that B2C consumer element to say you can use this platform on your own. It's not linked to an advisor. If, for example, your advisor is giving you this account on as a value-added product, and you no longer want to be with that advisor, you can, in your account, you can say leave this billing account, and then you can then go and take your data with you and start your own account. But the individual has always been the arbitrator of the data, so it's just a function of changing the billing to say, I want to leave this organization and I want to take it upon myself. And then obviously if you do join another organization and they're a Lifedocs partner, they can then just onboard you as well.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
yeah, definitely possible, and hugely important for us as well.
Cool. And then just quickly, there's another question here from Marcel. Hello, Marcel. What happens when you die? Well, you die, but who will have access and how? Sorry, Marcel, I always have time for a little joke. Who will have access, and how will they have access to this information?
Yeah, so as part of the process of uploading your documents, you can share these documents, and you can either share them now, or you can share them at time of death. Let's say you have a letter of wishes that you only want to be shared with a specific person when you die. We as Lifedocs will release that to the person, and they can come into the platform and then get that document. And how we do this is we say, and it's very similar to how Lastpass works, is you set up an emergency contact, and that emergency contact will be verified by us. And if they say that you passed away, you then also have your death report settings where you say, give me 30 days to confirm that I'm not dead. After I die, contact me via SMS or email. And then once I am confirmed dead, you can delete my account or let it be continued by my family member, and so forth. And we take those settings and we apply that upon death. So the moment we find out that you have passed away, then we can release that information. So yeah.
Great stuff.
And because
Then
your
the big
executor is connected, and because your executor is already connected, or your advisor is already connected, and you've shared certain documents with them, they'll already have access almost immediately upon your death for that information.
Great stuff. The big question: what does it cost?
Yeah, so for any individual coming off the street to use the platform, we start at 29 Rand a month. Our pricing is going to change going forward slightly, but and then for advisors, it's between 250 and 500 Rand per advisor on the advisor portal, and then for each one of their customers, it goes down to about 12 Rand per customer. So we give a huge discount to the advisors and their customers.
Awesome. Alrighty. Yeah. If people want to learn more, where can they find out more?
Yeah, so you can, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can get me at LinkedIn as well, if you do want to connect. Also, you can drop me an email. I'm Geoffrey at lifedocs.co.za, so I can always assist you there as well. And then, our website, so lifedocs.ai or lifedocs.co.za as well. So those are the two, awesome. Those are the two entry points for that.
Happiness. And I've linked all of that down below in the description here on the YouTube channel. So you can find all of that there, as well as the links to Lastpass and all the other things that we discussed. Awesome. And just like that, we've come to the end. Jeff, thank you so much. This is very interesting. And I can hear that you guys have really thought things through. It sounds to me like a very solid system. You've really thought about the processes, the practicalities, and all of that, which is amazing. I think often, when we start designing things, we miss out on that. And I think also because this is built off the back of somebody who lost someone and all the pains and things that they went through. That's why this is such a great product at this point. So just thank you very much for your time, and we wish you all the best, and we hope to catch up in the future.
Thank you, Francois. I really appreciate it. And thanks for giving me the time. It's been great.
It's a big pleasure, man. And I hope a lot of people are going to contact you. So keep well and have a good weekend.
Thank you. Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Good stuff. All right, ladies and gents, there we go. The end of another episode. Just quickly remember that next week there is no show. But the week after that, the 22nd, we have Eden Kift from Portfolio Metrics on the show. Really looking forward to chatting to him. It's going to be a bit of a difference. It's been a long time since we had somebody from the asset management space. But I think they do so much more than just that. They also have some interesting software and things. So really excited to be talking to Eden on the 22nd. Really looking forward to that. Razan will be back with Brandworks on the 22nd as well. And then, let's see what else transpires. But just from my side, have a great weekend. Stay safe, be blessed. And remember to raise the bar. Thank you very much. Love you lots. Bye-bye.